I'll let you know when we are live. All right, we are live.
Great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Oscars. You can see that Nick Alderink is actually at the Oscars. He's on the well, that's not true, and I'm not really at the Michigan Theater either. But Martin Van Dyke is really behind a microphone, and so really Martin and I are looking forward to talking to you tonight about the Oscar odds and all kinds of fun stuff. So, Martin, thank you for doing this.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for asking me, fellow cinema lover, and then good to see you as well, Nick. And thanks for inviting me. Russ, you could have fooled me. I thought you really were at the Michigan Theater. I love the green screen. Very extremely convincing.
Yeah. Well, we had a meeting at the Michigan Theater today for Michigan Theater members. All of the folks that are members and have made it possible for us to survive this particular year. And I'm sure everybody knows this, but Martin Van Dyke is a music maven, but his secret mavenship is movies, and he's the morning host on 107.1 and is a tremendous asset to this community. And we're so grateful that he's made time today between now and 8 o'clock when the Oscars actually start to have some fun with us as we talk Oscars and movies and the year that was or wasn't, depending on how you look at it, for 2020. These are the 2021 Oscars, but they're honoring the 2020 movie year. So, what are you thinking, Martin?
Well, just thinking what a strange and profoundly difficult year it's been. I mean, over and above cinema and the lack thereof in movie theaters, I never ever would have thought, as the movie lover that I am, Russ, that I would not have been in a theater. Well, it's going on like about 14 months. The last film I saw was at the State Theater, the wonderful documentary about Robbie Robertson and the band. And then after that, well, as they say, all hell broke loose. And hey, first off, and I don't want to be, this is Oscar is always a real fun night. I really look forward to it. I'm taking tomorrow off from the morning show so I can stay up late. So I'm not going to be Mr. Doom and Gloom here, but come on, this year has just been a really atrocious one. Are you okay? Is everyone okay at the movie theater? This has been, you work in the public, and this came kind of out of nowhere. What was it like at the beginning of March when did you shut down the theaters, Russ?
We shut down on March the 16th, 2020. So it's been about, it's been over a year. Now we reopened briefly in October and November, right. And we opened again in the middle of February. But for the 12 months between April 1st, 2020 and March 30th, 2021, for those 12 months, in 2019-2020, a normal year, we grossed about $1.7 million worth of movie business. Again, April 1st, 2019 to March 30th, 2020. Yes. From April 1st, 2020 to March 30, 2021, including the virtual cinema that we did, we grossed a total of $45,000. And now the good news is that this community has been incredibly generous, not only to the Michigan Theater, but to other cultural institutions in our town, the Carytown Concert House and the ARC, the University Musical Society, as well as to human service organizations. This is such a tough year for everybody. So to whine about how difficult it is for the arts is to not recognize the other difficulties that are out there in social services and healthcare and mental health and all of the things that are being very stressed this year. So we're very proud of the way that we've come through this. We entered the COVID-19 era without any debt. So that was a very good thing, because if at various points in time, in the middle of capital campaigns and other things, we've had debt, which is just a normal thing for business. We've never been, it's been years and years and years and years since we've been in kind of troublesome debt. But to enter this particular pandemic era and not have that burden was just a lot of luck and good fortune. But the generosity of the community, again, not just to the Michigan Theater, but to so many things, has been outstanding. We also got a couple of so-called PPP grants to help with employee costs. We've obviously cut costs tremendously. Had to lay off many, many, many staff people, which is always painful. And obviously the theater was closed, so heating and other kinds of care items were reduced. But we had to spend some money to prepare to reopen. So with shields, and we take everybody's temperature, and we have masks for anyone that forgets their mask. We make sure everyone's wearing masks. So there's definitely cost associated with the shutdown, but the biggest cost is the lost opportunity to walk through. Nick, who's on the Zoom here, can testify that most of our staff work from home for safety reasons. But I went to the theater almost every day, and Nick came in too. Everyone came in every now and then. But to walk through a public place that is empty day after day after day is depressing, because it's just not what the place is for.
Right.
But today we had over 100 people come to a screening in the Historic Theater, which is a record for the last year. So there's some exciting things happening, and we're happy about that.
Good. And I'm ready to get back into a theater. I've gotten both of my vaccines. I feel reasonably good about getting back into, public places now, which has been such a strange 12 months. But I've been working at home for about 8.5 of the last 12 months. Started working at home in mid-March of last year, went back to the station for a couple months in the summer. Then I've been back since mid-fall, probably going back to work at the station soon, within the next couple of weeks. And just can't, me, Russ, seeing movies is just as much a part of my life as going to concerts. I started in radio the same year, pretty much almost exactly the same year, 1983. I started going to the Toronto Film Festival, and I was there for decades and decades, every single year, just absolutely wouldn't miss it. And while I've caught most of the films that are up for Oscars this year on television, like everyone else, it ain't the same. Especially with the, films like Nomadland, watching it and going, oh, I wish I was seeing this at Michigan Theater.
It is a big screen theater for sure. A big screen movie for sure.
Right. Some films, Return at your the Trial of the Chicago Seven, and even Rainey's, which I Black Bottom, which I adored, feel less, cinematic. They feel more like plays that have been expanded to the big screen, and that cinematography, music, not quite perhaps as important as some of these other films. But I just miss the experience. I miss being around people. And I think it's going to be an interesting night with the Oscars, because everyone who's voted, there aren't the films that got a buzz because they were in theaters and people started talking about them, like the 40-year-old version, which I loved seeing. And I just have a feeling like, wow, if that had really an extended theatrical run and more people started talking about that film, maybe that would have been in the mix for an Oscar nomination or two. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. So word of mouth is the best kind of promotion for anything. And also, just gathering people together is a good way to create a buzz, and also to check your own particular reactions to a film. I've gone into films, thinking that it's going to be great and walked out of it thinking, because I saw that in the audience was kind of tepid in the response. And the absolute opposite has happened too, that you're there, you feel that the audience is into it, and it helps draw you in as well. It's proven that comedies are not nearly as funny sitting by yourself. Having an audience in a comedy in particular makes it a much more enjoyable experience, playing off of each other, and that happens in the movies. We know that happens with live on stage performances, that the actors and everybody really gets energy. The musicians get energy from the audience. In a movie, being a cool medium, it's the audience is getting energy from itself, and that makes it worthwhile. People, wring their hands about it. Are there going to be movies in movie theaters after COVID? And the answer to that is most certainly yes. Things change. Big disruptions like this cause change to happen in many unexpected ways. We've all become video conference experts, which I think before COVID, who would have thought that the entire population, grandparents and grandchildren and everybody, have become video conference experts.
Oh, yeah, my God.
Movies, going to movies in a movie theater are kind of like going to a restaurant for a meal. You don't need to go to a restaurant for a meal. There's lots of ways that you can get a meal, but usually you go to a restaurant because you want to go out. You don't want to do the dishes. You want to get a cuisine that you may not be an expert in. You may want to, have friends and neighbors or friends that you get together with. So it's a social experience. Going out to eat is actually more of a social experience than a nutritional need. And going out to the movies, going out to a play, going out to a concert, again, you don't really need to go to a concert ever. There's recordings, but when you're there at a concert and you're there with the audience, it's a very special experience. So going out is what the chief competition is, not your TV.
Yeah, true. We should jump into some of these nominees, Ross. In the green room before we started, I was complaining about a couple of opinion pieces in a couple of our newspapers by a few of our esteemed writers that got me rather incensed over by Ari's Long John coffee cake and coffee this morning, saying, "Oh, what a bummer of a year, man, for movies. Couldn't there be some feel-good films? These are all such downers." And it's just, I can understand the drift of these writers who shall remain nameless about, it's been a really tough year. And yes, the films, for the most part, that are nominated here for Best Picture they're not knee-slapping, laugh a minute comedies. In fact, none of them are. But these films are obviously all envisioned and made well before the pandemic came. This year does make me realize why Busby Berkeley movies were so popular during the Depression, because yes, we do need some art to be an element of escape and have nothing to do with the horrific year that we're all just trying to survive through. Nevertheless, to dismiss films like, Nomad Land and Sound of Metal and Trial of the Chicago 7 and all of them, The Father, Judas, and The Black Messiah, because they're, kind of downers, man. Oh man, these articles really upset me. The writers don't seem like they know what movie art is all about. I'll get off my soapbox now. I'm sorry.
Well, it is kind of a conundrum that the Academy has been going through for a few years, which is that the films that typically win are the films that are really well received at film festivals and by cinephiles. Today we just played the Lord of the Rings Return of the King, which is the third in that series. Right, Nick? The third?
That's correct.
Yep. And Nick curated that series and did a great job. That was about the last motion picture that was really popular that also won the Academy Award for Best Picture. So, and the viewership goes up a lot when that happens, and, all kinds of good things happen. And they've tried with the Academy Award to have, a Best Popular Movie category, and then, the Best Film, and they got a lot of pushback for that. And on one level, it's kind of too bad, because it would be, if Fast and Furious, which has been a franchise, it's the 9th film is coming out this summer, but they have a particularly compelling one from a popular culture standpoint, what the heck? Fast and Furious 1, as long as also, a film like Trial of Chicago 7 or Nomadland or some of the other more distinguished aesthetic movies also have a chance to win. So back in the day, they used to give away 2 Best Pictures. Back in 1928, the first year, Wings was a film that won, and The Circus were both Best Pictures in different categories.
Really?
So, Charlie Chaplin, and then the World War I flying thriller Wings were. Charlie Chaplin's Circus and Wings, this World War I airplane battle movie. So anyway, there is a precedence for it. So who knows? Maybe they'll go back to it at some point. But they tried a couple of years ago and really got whacked in the media and by some of the categories. So the pictures that are nominated for Best Picture. Now, usually, you do it so that that's the last thing you talk about. We'll talk about it first, because if you want to, if you want to get a beer or a champagne or a cocktail before the Academy Awards, you can actually jump off and do that. But the 9 films that were nominated are Nomadland, this Trial of Chicago 7, Minari, Promising Young Woman, Mank, Judas and the Black Messiah, Sound of Metal, and The Father. And I'm gonna have you talk about Sound of Metal, because that was as a former, well, I guess a drummer, as a rock and roll drummer, it's a movie you could really relate to.
A movie I could really relate to, and a movie, and I talked about this on the air with you, Russ, before I saw it, and I admitted to you and to our listeners that I was really hesitant about seeing this, because one of the main plot points is that Riz Ahmed plays a drummer in a heavy metal duo with his girlfriend, and he starts to lose his hearing all of a sudden. And me in real life, not just as a drummer, but being on the radio, wearing headphones, loud sounds, going to concerts, I have a little bit of hearing issues, especially with tinnitus, that ringing in the ear kind of thing. And I remember this film was sort of like, whoa, this is bringing up some kind of sensitive stuff with me. I'm not so sure I even want to watch this. And I kept reading fantastic review after great review. And again, this is one of those things, if this had been in more movie theaters, I think I would have been to it a lot more quickly, because we would have been even more of a buzz about it. Finally watched it, actually within, I think, about the past month or so. This is one of my top 3 movies of the year. If this won every award tonight, I'd be delighted, because it's not just about a guy who loses his hearing, and that's what happens completely. Riz Ahmed loses his hearing and he has to decide if he is going to literally continue living with this major change in his life. The film, to me, I don't know how you saw it, watched it, but it's a metaphor for how do you deal with a life change that there's no going back from, and it's major, and that could be anything: losing your hearing, losing a loved one, losing your job. Like, how do you deal with it, and how do you treat the people that you love after something like that? Every performance in this film is magnificent, and above all, the sound design of the film is mind-blowing, because it takes you into the world of Riz Ahmed as he loses his hearing. It's so immersive. It's got to win those sound Oscars tonight. I hope.
Yeah, it's the odds-on favorite to win the Sound Awards for sure. And it's also one of those films that would have been a lot better to see in a theater because of theater sound systems. But they literally both put you in the head of the person losing their hearing, and also, just in the world. It's a remarkable piece and a remarkable human story on many levels.
Am I incorrect, Russ? Didn't there used to be 2 Oscars, one for sound editing and one for sound, and they've been just combined into one category this year? Is that correct?
Yeah. It made a big difference to the sound technicians, but the audiences couldn't relate to what the difference was. One was sound design and one was sound editing. So they've just been put together in terms of sound. Another film that, like Sound of Metal, both put you inside the head of the character, but also gave you an objective view of what was going on. But it never told you what was going on, which I could see a lot of people would find super annoying, was The Father. So Anthony Hopkins played a person that was dealing with dementia. And some of the movie, you were inside of his head and you were confused in what you were seeing, probably in the same way that he was confused. But then there were also periods of time when you were, the third person viewing, like you would in normal cinema. So this kind of switch between first person and third person was, to me, I thought it was terrific. Other folks found it just confusing to the point of making it not a very good experience. But I really liked that movie. And then the performances, Olivia Colman and Anthony Hopkins, just really, really super.
Oh, just fantastic. Your thoughts on Minari? And there's a major local connection with that film too, and that film's going to win something tonight, right? Correct?
Oh yeah. So Minari, I got to see that at Sundance, like a year and a half ago.
Film festival.
Wow. And there was it was a big buzz film there, and then I watched it again more recently, and it won the Best Foreign Language Film Golden Globe, although it's an American film produced by Brad Pitt, and there's a local connection. Nick, you want to talk about that local connection?
Stephen Yun is from, I believe he grew up in Troy, Michigan. I think he went to school in Kalamazoo.
Yeah, K College, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a very cool local connection. We'll try to nab him when he's back in town. But the film is about a family, a Korean family, a Korean American family, and they moved to the middle of Arkansas. And this is something that the father of the family, it's a family of 4. There's a son and a daughter. They moved there, and the wife isn't really sure. They were in California, and they were struggling financially just because California is so expensive. And the husband really wanted to be a farmer. What they were making their money at was chicken or chick sexing. So it's a very specific skill that is really quite hard. And if you're good and fast at it, you can make okay money on it. And the father was actually really good at it. But they moved to the middle of Arkansas, where there aren't a lot of Koreans, but they see that, Korean families are moving all over, and he would like to set up a farm that would specialize in Korean fruits and vegetables. It's kind of one difficulty after another. When they arrive, it's not really a house, it's a mobile home. And the wife becomes more and more distressed. Their relationship was kind of strained to begin with. Then she decides that she's going to have her mother come and live with them. So the mother comes over and lives with them in Korea. But the children didn't really know her, and she didn't cook or bake cookies or anything. And so the children thought, well, she's not even a real grandma because she doesn't make cookies. And the kids are kind of small. But she ends up proving her worth, and actually the grandmother is nominated for a Best Supporting Actor role, and she's a very well-known actor in Korea. It's a terrific film. It's the favorite film, Oscar-nominated film of Michigan theater members and attenders. We've been playing it, and it has outdrawn Nomadland. I think because it's a family drama, and so it's a little more fun than some of the other films. But it's got its points of difficulty, tragedy, and conflict in it as well. It is a terrific film, and it probably won't win, but it's one of the top three. Nomadland, The Trial of Chicago 7, and Minari are kind of 1, 2, 3 in terms of the odds, with Nomadland being a pretty strong favorite at this point.
How did you like The Trial of the Chicago 7? I really thought this film was well done. I know there's some detractors, critical detractors for this film, but all the performances I thought were really solid. And I'm a big Aaron Sorkin fan too, who brought this to the screen. And I remember this growing up. I mean, this was a sensational trial that involved the folks who were protesting in Chicago in 1968, the year of the infamous police riot there during the Democratic convention.
Yeah, and Tom Hayden, University of Michigan student, his character is well played, and Sacha Baron Cohen plays Abby Hoffman, and he's really terrific. He's really, really terrific. He's an English actor, and he had to do a Brooklyn accent, and he worked really hard at it and very, very effectively got that Brooklyn accent, at least to these Midwestern ears he did.
Yeah, and he's nominated too for Best Supporting Actor, correct?
Yeah, he sure is. And Aaron Sorkin's script is crackling, and it's nominated for a Best Adapted Screenplay as well. Promising Young Woman actually had a lot of buzz going into the Oscars, and it's kind of fallen off. Carrie Mulligan is nominated for a Best Actress role for her role. It's a revenge of fantasy film, and pretty compelling for contemporary times. It's got its points of humor, but the overarching piece of it is pretty dark. It's a dark comedy. And Carrie Mulligan is terrific. Again, a British actress playing an American character, carrying it off extremely well. And the Emerald Farrell, the director and screenwriter, also really has been nominated for Best Director for her first feature film, and screenplay as well, original screenplay. So we'll see what happens there. Mank, which if you're a film geek, is a film that you love just because it's about Citizen Kane. Yeah,
a film about film is there. I just couldn't wait for this one. I had to be honest, this film kind of let me down though. Beyond that, I don't know, maybe because it's one of those my expectations were too high for the film, Russ. And I mean, on a technical level, my goodness, I mean, just recreate, being shot in black and white, which is very audacious, and the cinematography, everything about it just took you back to the day. But somehow this film didn't quite move me emotionally like I wanted it to. And I don't know, maybe that was just me. Did you really love this film? Are you a big fan of it all the way?
I liked it a lot. I don't think it is the best picture of the year, and I think it's just the film, the capturing of Hollywood in that particular era, when Hollywood really was the center of pop culture, and it was inventing a new language. Citizen Kane literally kind of invented the modern motion picture. So it was interesting to see the representation of that. But you're right. It was a passion project for the director, David Fincher. His father did the screenplay. His father actually passed away about 10 years ago, and it may be a little bit too inside baseball. Even for a film geek.
And we should, this is Mank is Herman Mankiewicz. This is the person who wrote the screenplay or co-wrote the screenplay. It's still rather disputed about how much he had to do with it with Citizen Kane, but certainly was an integral part of this film, which is
it's not so much how much Mankiewicz was involved with the screenwriting; it was how much Orson Welles was involved with the screenwriting.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
He may have taken a little more credit than he deserved, but that's, as you said, it's still a point of dispute. Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah, this is another film that I wanted to get more involved with somehow than I did, and it's one that it's on my. I need to rewatch this one. What are your impressions, and take us into this film? Incredible performances. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, Daniel Kaluuya is the probable winner of the Best Supporting Actor. I thought it was a transformative film in terms of the perspective that it gave in terms of the Black Panthers and the characters that are involved. Very, very compelling, I thought they pulled off a magic trick to make that work and get it produced on the broad scale that it was. Judas and the Black Messiah is a pretty special film. So those are the nominated films. Now, long ago I learned not to use my own personal taste to pick movies. I've been doing this long enough now that there aren't too many films that I hate. I've turned in, film critics tend to get easier and easier the older they get. Roger Ebert's one of the rare exceptions that seem to neither get crabby nor get so optimistic about every movie that came out. He seemed to be able to tell the story straight. But I've kind of lost a certain kind of objectivity, and I really try to like everything. Of course you can't, but so what I do is I rely on the Vegas betting odds or the British betting odds to determine, how I'm going to fill out my Oscar ballot. And the betting odds are not super strong, but pretty strong for Nomadland.
Right, which we've not really talked in depth yet. And this film, it's the film to beat, to my eyes, this year. I mean, I really, this film really did do it and really moved me top to bottom. And this is one of those cinematic experiences where it's like, man, I want to catch up to this in a movie theater. And I'm going to be shocked if anything beats it for Best Picture and for Best Director.
Yeah, Chloe Zhao is the odds-on favorite. It's almost a lock. It's almost as much a lock as Chadwick Boseman for Best Actor. But Nomadland. I can see how not everybody loved this film, because on one level, and you do need to see it in the theater, and it's a small picture in a certain way, in that there's a limited number of characters and it's a pretty constrained kind of story that it's telling. And I don't mean that in a critical way. That's just what it is. It's about this woman who's dealing with her life and the situation that's there. It's not trying to tell a broad story about the ins and outs and ups and downs of a person's life or the nature of society, but all of those things are reflected in the story that's told, and that's what I think makes it such a brilliant piece. Is it's so subtle and so small, but it has to be painted on a huge canvas, because when you see it in a theater, all of those shots of landscape, which is extremely important in this film, you can actually appreciate them. You can't appreciate them on a small screen. And so it really does work better on a big screen. Again, even though it's kind of a small film in that way.
Yeah.
Minari's a small film. It's a film about a family, as opposed to The Trial of Chicago 7, which is a big film about big societal movements and big historic things that happen.
Yeah, and there's big emotions in that film. There's lots of big characters and lots of people yelling and disagreeing with one another. Yeah, there's a lot of politics and a lot of social unrest in the film. And
Judas and the Black Messiah in a similar way.
Yeah. No, that's true. What else do you have in terms of odds? So Chloe Zhao's favored odds-wise, Vegas odds. Best Director.
very, very heavily over David Fincher for Mank, but she is very heavily favored, and it's great. She would be the first Asian American to win, or Asian person to win a Best Director Academy.
And would only be the second woman to win Best Director, correct?
That's right.
And who was the other woman? Who's the only other woman who's won Best Director? I'm spacing out.
It was Nick.
It's Catherine Bigelow.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman is another kind of dark horse candidate, just because it was her first film and her film really did hit it out. But Chloe Zhao is a pretty strong lock. The only lock that's stronger than Chloe Zhao is Chadwick Boseman for Best Actor for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Now, this was a film that people I've talked to haven't liked as much as a total film. It didn't get nominated for Best Picture, but I've got a particular soft spot for that movie. I saw it for that play. I saw it on Broadway, and it does feel like a play turned into a movie. And I don't even really mean that as a critical thing, but it's like Nomadland is expansive. You could not do that as a play. And Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, it feels like it should be done in a theater, or could be done in a theater.
I really love Ma Rainey, though. I'm disappointed that it wasn't nominated for Best Picture. And again, I suppose because I'm a music guy too, and it had me from the very beginning. And Chadwick's performance was. It just tears your heart out. He's so brilliant in it, and knowing that it's his final film role, it's just devastatingly sad. There's this last week or two, again, I'm talking about Sound of Metal, that Riz Ahmed, I read more than a couple of pieces in some of the trades that say that he is going to be the surprise winner of Best Actor. Is that nuts?
Yeah, anything's possible. Anything's possible. I had a producer write me about The Father and said that The Father was getting a lot of last minute buzz, and it may win Best Picture and Anthony Hopkins Best Actor.
No.
Now, yeah, that was my reaction. Wow, because in the Las Vegas odds, The Father is the lowest rated movie in terms of Best Picture. I mean, it's a really, really good movie. Anything that's nominated or any performance is nominated is just excellent. And of course, we can cheer for Stephen Yeun for Best Actor too. He's nominated, but pretty low odds at this point. So Best Actress is the one it's a real toss up. And the primary candidates are Carrie Mulligan for Promising Young Woman and Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. She was great. She didn't look like Viola Davis, but she sure came across as a wonderful pop singer.
Yeah.
And that was great. Frances McDormand, of course, is a candidate that her performance was very well reviewed. Any one of those three, and even Andra Day, who plays Billie Holiday in the United States versus Billie Holiday, she won the Golden Globe for Best Actress, and so it's a bit of a toss-up with Carrie Mulligan a slight favorite, Viola Davis probably the other person that would win, but in a sense there couldn't be a surprise. Except for Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman, which I think the film just wasn't seen broadly enough for people to vote on. But,
do you think that because Frances McDormand has won, I believe, 2 other acting Oscars, and the fact that she's done no campaigning for this film at all, that might hurt her chances of winning Best Actress? Is that going to matter? I think Frances McDormand doesn't really care that much about awards, although she certainly has won many and deserves many. Oh, God. Yeah.
Viola Davis has won Best Supporting Actress, I believe, and Carrie Mulligan hasn't won. There's but so that's the odds piece there. In terms of best supporting actor, Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah again is a pretty strong favorite. Sacha Baron Cohen was a favorite for a while, but and he's just terrific. If anything, he's nominated for too many things and too many categories. The guy is amazingly talented.
Yeah.
But Daniel Kaluuya is the best supporting actor favorite, I think. There, Leslie Odom Jr. also in One Night in Miami is just great. Actually, all the performances there were good, but they talk about his performance quite a bit too. And then your guy,
Paul Racy,
Racy, is. And Lakeith Stanfield from Judas and the Black Messiah. I was kind of concerned that Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya would split the vote there.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about this.
It looks like Daniel Kaluuya is the favorite there. Now, the grandma in Minari, Yu Young Yun, is the favorite, slight favorite. And Maria Bakalova from Borat's subsequent movie film was the favorite there. But Minari's really come up as people have watched it and really loved it. And this grandma character, played by Yu Young Yeon, has really captured the heart of people. She's her character has a stroke and she sets the whole farm on fire by accident at one point. But she builds the relationship with her grandkids, and her importance to the family is understood, and I think it creates a very sympathetic performance. I actually wanted Glenn Close to win an Academy Award.
She's never won.
She's never won, and she's always great, and she's always second to Meryl Streep.
Mm-hmm.
And Meryl Streep deserves it. In fact, they should just give a Meryl Streep award every year, so that she doesn't have to compete with anybody else.
Right.
But Hillbilly Elegy, she played a hardened Appalachian grandma, and it's not the kind of thing you would expect from the woman that played Dangerous Liaison,
yeah.
And but she's just a great actress, and she deserves an Academy Award. And I thought, when I saw that performance, I thought, well, this is it. Glenn Close is going to win, but she's kind of in third place according to the betting odds. And then, of course, there's Olivia Colman, who was in The Father. She played the daughter. She's unbelievably great.
So good.
Yeah, and Amanda Seyfried from Mank. So lots of great performances.
Are we able to queue up and show a trailer? Are we still able to do that, Nick?
Yeah. Well, we weren't able to really test it, but I have the trailers queued up. Just let me know which ones you want to show, and I'll let you know when it's ready.
Yeah. I would love, because I can't stop raving about it. If you had Sound of Metal, I would certainly love to re-see that trailer if it's up there.
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah,
and while Nick's doing that, I'm going to pop my champagne. And Martin, if you hold your glass out, I'll pour you a glass here. There we go. All right, very good.
Yeah,
very good.
Move it over.
I'm going to pour myself some. And if anyone else wants any, just to hold their glass up, and I'll pour you a virtual glass of sparkling wine. Cheers. Always good to have on Oscar night.
Oh yeah.
Even if you don't win.
Even if you don't.
But everyone who watches the movie, in our book at the State of Michigan Theater, you're all winners. So.
Yes. Could I put in just 2 words about 2 fantastic documentaries, and I'd be thrilled if either one won. I love docs so much. And
let's watch the Sound of Metal.
Oh, let's got this. Okay, cool.
And then we'll get to the docs and the animated film.
All right, cool.
All right, here it is.
You sound great.
Yeah, right.
What? You telling me you weren't feeling it? You were in it. We don't need to put them all out.
I know, but we just need to film it.
Your hearing is deteriorating rapidly.
We'll come back. Till then, Lou, we just keep going, okay?
No.
Lou,
No.
let's play tomorrow. Let's see what it's like, okay? I'm gonna be like a click track. You can play to me.
You have to understand, your first responsibility is to preserve the hearing you have.
I can't hear you. Do you understand me? I can't. I'm deaf. I'm deaf.
I found a place.
I think it's important that you stay here with us right now, Reuben. We're looking for a solution to this. Not this.
I need you to wait for me, okay? You're it for me, Lou. You're my heart. You're it for me, okay? You gotta wait for me. Trying to save my life.
Reuben, the world does keep moving. It can be a damn cruel place. But those moments of stillness, when this crappy, mundane world suddenly becomes radiant and magnificent, all the fear is gone. That place will never abandon you.
Awesome.
If you haven't seen that film, and the relationship, the film is as much about, well, it's actually about his coming to terms with his deafness and finding a loving community that he could be a part of, which was not something that was in his brain at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, exactly. Directorial debut too. My goodness.
Yeah, screenplay and yeah, so amazing piece. All right, well, documentary films. We got a love song for Latasha. Oh, I'm sorry, those are short subjects. We
got, well, the two that really jumped out for me are My Octopus Teacher.
Yep.
And the film Time.
Yep.
I think, and from what are you seeing? Do you have the odds in front of you for documentary feature? It kind of seems like it's a toss up between those two films.
It is a toss up. Time is a slight favorite. My Octopus Teacher has a tremendous amount of buzz to it. Collective is a film that we've been playing on our virtual movie palace for quite a while. Crip Camp is another film that there's been a lot of buzz about. That started off at Sundance in 2020, and there was a lot of buzz about it then. And then the Mole Agent is the other film that's nominated. But My Octopus Teacher, which is a National Geographic film, and Time are the two leaders there. So we'll see how that goes. The Oscar odds. So Collective is actually nominated for 2 Best Picture awards. One is for documentary, and the other one is for Best International Feature.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and Another Round. Again, this is what was formerly the foreign language film. Quo Vadis Aida, Better Days, and The Man Who Sold His Skin. So those are the international features. And then the animated film. The best animated film, Nick Alderig's favorite is Wolfwalker, which we actually got to play briefly, and so we're happy about that. and it's an Irish film about an Irish folktale.
Okay.
And
Not familiar.
yep, Onward, Over the Moon, Shaun the Sheep, Farmageddon, which is a fun film. But the film that is the odds-on favorites that never played in movies, the Pixar film Soul, is a pretty strong lock for the best animated film.
Oh God, yeah, for sure.
We'll see how that all turns out.
So, we got about 9 minutes before these Oscars start here, and which is, I'm just fascinated. These are mostly going to be taking place at Union Station in Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles, yeah,
The
it's
production
in the train station.
The
Big,
train station.
Beautiful Art Deco train station.
I can't wait to see that. It's being directed by Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah.
This is not going to be it's going to be, if nothing else, an Oscar broadcast unlike anything we've ever seen before.
It's true. Well, and as the TV audience, it's not going to really matter that much. They're also not. They're trying to avoid Zoom acceptance speeches, and so we'll see how far they actually got with that. And we'll sit back and enjoy it and relax. And some of us will take tomorrow off because we watched the movies too late today.
Can we see one more trailer? Do we got time to see like the Nomad Land trailer? Or because this looks like this film is going to win. I'd love to try and get that queued up, Nick, if that's possible.
Yep,
Yeah,
I got it right here.
All right. It's nominated for Best Cinematography as well. Slight favorite over Mank, which the Academy folks like the black and white use of that. But Nomadland and Mank are kind of neck and neck for cinematography. So roll them, Nick.
You are one of those lucky people that can travel anywhere.
Yes, ma'am. I know.
And they sometimes call you nomads.
My mom says that you're homeless. Is that true?
No, I'm not homeless. I'm just houseless. Not the same thing, right?
No.
My husband worked at the USG mine in Empire. I was a substitute teacher.
It is a tough time right now. You may want to consider early retirement.
I need work. I like work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Welcome to Badlands Spa.
What the Nomads are doing is not that different than what the pioneers did.
You gotta make the hole bigger.
I think Fern's part of an American tradition.
Oh, he's gonna come right through the glass. My dad used to say, what's remembered lives. I maybe spent too much of my life just remembering.
One of the things I love most about this life is that there's no final goodbye. I've met hundreds of people out here, and I don't ever say a final goodbye. Let's just say I'll see you down the road. And I do. I see them again. And I can be certain in my heart, I'll see you again.
Beautiful. It's so beautiful. I wanted to mention this jumped up this week that the senior executives at Searchlight Pictures, which is, as you saw, it's the Nomadland made by Searchlight Pictures, Nancy Utley and Steve Jalula are retiring. They've been at the helm here of Searchlight Pictures for 21 of its 27 years, and they've shepherded other Oscar-winning hits like Black Swan, 12 Years a Slave, Slumdog Millionaire, The Grand Budapest Hotel. They announced their surprise announcement this past Tuesday, Russ. From all accounts, these are two really good executives in the movie industry, and there are actually really good executives in the movie industry, which may come as a surprise to some people.
Well, Steve Galula was actually one of the founders of Landmark Pictures, which or Landmark Theaters. So they were the art house theater chain that started in the 1970s, and has gotten, and it played such an important role in film exhibition in the 1970s, 80s, or 80s, 90s, and into the teens. And it's the subsequent to Steve Galula and Gary Meyer, when they founded, and Paul Richardson, they were kind of the trio that created it. It's been sold and resold and resold, and it's not quite what it was. And they just closed the Landmark Theater in Royal Oak, the main art.
Yeah, I just saw that in the Detroit Free Press yesterday. That's tragic news for a movie lover like me.
Yeah,
that's not good news. I can't say I'm completely surprised, but it's terrible news.
Yeah, no, it is. And but Steve Galula was definitely the star of the trio that came out from there. Paul Richardson ran the Sundance theaters for quite a while, and he was the chief executive at Landmark when they were sold. And then the people that bought it went bankrupt, and it came back to Paul Richardson, and Steve Galula is a good guy, and has done a great job with Searchlight Pictures for sure. And now that it's part of Fox, which is now part of Disney, so we're hoping it doesn't go away as this continued good distributor of really high quality film.
Fingers crossed. All right, my friend, it's just about showtime, isn't it?
It is. This is just a couple minutes, and you'll have to turn your TV on if it hasn't been on already. And thanks for spending the red carpet with Nick and Martin and I. And our dress is not quite as fancy as the real red carpet, but Nick's red carpet replica made it all worthwhile.
Oh, love it. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you so much,
Russ.
Martin.
Oh,
really,
thank you, Russ. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for watching, everybody. It's a pleasure.
So much.
See
Thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone on Facebook that joined us as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the movies. New York Times says it's safe to go to the movies if you wear a mask, which you can do at the Michigan Theater, and you're socially distanced. It's okay to be inside. And both of those things you can do at the Michigan Theater, because that's what we're about. So enjoy the Oscars.
Thanks.
Thanks, Martin.
Thanks.